Hey everybody, this is Josh Cook, aka Seizures Palace, and today we're about to do Song a Week number 37. I have something at 100 beats per minute, hence the tempo, Hundo. Let's check it out. Alright, so let's give a quick listen to what we got here. To start off, I'll give you a bit of each section. So the DJ-friendly intro. Lots of delays, that kind of stuff. Kicks into. Develops with some horns and other synths. And then into the drop. Development. Breakdown. Into another drop that sounds similar, and then we have a variation on that drop halfway through. Some crazy hi-hats, and then classic sort of metal crashes with some extra bass drum action going on. So it's a pretty healthy looking session. We had some strings. You'll notice there's nothing going on here. Same with brass. That's because it's all been frozen and flattened out of contact. Wouldn't it be nice to be able to have like 10 instances of contact opened, be able to stream one of these videos, have a fully functioning song? On my computer, it's just not. So anyway, that's frozen, that's flattened. I'll show you them together. They're, in my opinion, quite beautiful. So that's what's going on there. I also have some Savant quotes. If you guys haven't checked out Savant yet, check him out. He is dope. We got this.
My brain is very obsessed with patterns and fractals.
That's before the first drop, and then later.
The way you're standing there's a pattern. The way this hotel is built is a pattern. Everything's a pattern.
Yeah, so I was pretty happy with those quotes. He has a lot of really good quotes, and yeah, I was just kind of going off of the way he thinks in terms of everything's really pattern-based and that kind of stuff. I'm not autistic by any stretch, but definitely really obsessed with patterns, so really spoke to me that way. Let's go through and start to analyze some of the sounds. I'm going to be kind of quick, try to keep up. So we got kick 2 going on, added on an instance of neutron, a little bit of compression, which is kind of weird. I probably could have compressed in kick 2. I just know the parameters really well on Ableton's compressor. A little boost for some, not necessarily beater hit, not necessarily low end, but basically just to get a little bit more low end on smaller speakers. And that oftentimes happens around like 800 hertz. I just found that with this kick drum a little higher up, even 1.2 is a good go-to number. I went to like 1.6. It just worked for this song, worked for me. Some automation going on with a filter that happens here. So you're just going to hear just a low thud. Some automation on volume that's also brought down in that section. Quite a bit going on with the drums. I'm going to open up the drum pattern here. So if you take a look, it's kind of fun. That's like this funky kick thing that comes in Ableton that I throw on the top of a lot of my kicks. I use kick 2 and I can never get quite the right amount of slap that I want. I'm sure I'm just not layering the clicks and stuff properly, but this DBS funky kick, if you're using Ableton 9, layers really, really nicely for some good slap. Like if you listen here, there's the kick. Note the high end, and then really feels like someone's smacking a kick drum really hard, so I love that. The douche was supposed to get put in this song, it never did. Some white noise. If I was to play the drums with the white noise separately, that right before a snare drum hit, every other. Nothing too fancy. Slushy hats, that was something else I was going to do at one point, never got into it. You know how these things work, you get jumping around the session. Anyway, clearly didn't need it in the end. We have sub bass. Look at what's going on with the sub bass here. That's what's happening during the drop. Now it is outlining roots for when it has the horn harmony going on. Here it's really intense. basically outlining that whole arpeggio that's going on. I have a secret to confess. That chord progression, I love that chord progression. It's actually a Chili Gonzalez, I can't really say it's his chord progression, but it's the same harmony from the track Manifesto transposed into G minor, arpeggiated, and embellished a little bit. So check out the song Manifesto. The harmony is the same, at least for his A section of the piece. He goes crazy in that song. I love it. But took a little piece of the harmony from that because I was loving what he did with that. Oh man, lots of basses to get through. Let's do this nice and easy peasy. So some of these are frozen right now. Like you can see, this one here is frozen. They all basically have the same thing. A little bit of multiband dynamics to sweep out below 120. EQ to boost up around between 1 and 300, anywhere and around there. That it makes sense for me sometimes. Between 1 and 200 tends to be the go-to area. And isotope trash 2. I think the preset is basically the same on all of these. So let's just see on one. Where does it say? Am I going crazy here? Presets. Oh, okay. Well, it's there. So Waves on Shore was the one that I used for this track, and I'm quite certain I use it on almost all of them, all the basses, that is. Yeah, you can see similar processing there. You know what, though? Oh, shoot. Yeah, on the basses here, like on the group basses, I am sweeping out a little bit below that 120 mark. Here, I'm just noticing this multiband dynamics isn't turned on. Is it on here? No, they're not. Okay, well, I guess I just swept it out in the group. That worked there. It's a really way, though, if you want, it's a really good way if you want to really steeply cut everything below a certain number. Go to the multiband dynamics and just solo the highs and the mids, or mute the lows kind of thing. So let's check out the sounds of some of these basses we got. Some of them are really similar. Like, listen to that one and this one. Just a little bit of atmospheric difference and subtle changes. It's not even really meant to be heard, just more meant to kind of give more emotion to what's going on. This is Silenth. Admittedly, it's the very first preset. As soon as you open up Silenth, whatever version I have, it's the first preset with Trash 2. And I did change the arpeggiator that was built in. I love when it's built into the synth, I feel like it just arpeggiates. It can do more legato, smooth connected stuff, especially with that TB303 or 808 or any of those sort of sounds. No, 404 is what I meant to say. Those are not going to get the same effect if you use an arpeggiator that's built into your DAW. It's not going to have the same legato, smooth connectedness. Maybe you have a fancy arpeggiator that you can use to do that. But anyway, change the arpeggiator in Silenth. And then sometimes I'm just doing little, and then other times, that kind of action's going on. Got another bass here. Now keep in mind, these mutes here, or the speaker button, or whatever you want to call it, they're being automated on and off. So when I'm showing you these clips, they're playing for like 4 or 5 seconds. You're just getting little snippets of this in the song. It's kind of like complectro style, but at 100 beats per minute. This bass, classic Seizures Palace trick where I'm going into Massive's Performer instead of an LFO, and I'm doing some sort of chuggy metal, dun 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 dun, that sort of idea. So that is applied to the breakdown bass. Every time I say breakdown, I'm reminded of Savant's song, Breakdown. It's so good. And this is more for higher stuff. It has the lead there. So yeah, those are all the basses, if you can even call that last one a bass. And then we're on to a couple different arpeggiated leads. My session was getting really intense by the end, so I had to freeze and flatten one, but here's one of them. Cool delay. This one here, bit more of a traditional delay. This one here, ARP lead, is your kind of like just the lead during all this craziness. So it's filtered, and then it slowly opens up. It's fully open at that point. I'm finding a lot of stuff that didn't get used. This MIDI thing never happened. Showed you the strings and brass already. We have some more of the plinky ARP lead stuff. That's probably in the wrong spot. And again, I would actually even probably put the strings and brass here. They're just more important. They're a more fundamental part of the song, I think. This one I think is more dry. I stand corrected. It still totally has a delay on it. And then finally, oh, this was kind of cool. So Echo Soundworks did a massive beast pack. Oh, see, there it is. That hasn't happened in a very long time. Let's try reopening Ableton. Anyway, while I'm explaining that, so Echo Soundworks came out with this pack. It was like massive beast, and I use some of the growl sounds sometimes, not as low growls, but I'll put an arpeggiator on them and play them up in a higher register. And that first initial little tick, or it's hard to explain exactly what the sound is, but it's sort of like the pre-growl, we'll say. It kind of has a percussive sort of quality that's a little bit pitched as well too. So sometimes I'll put an arpeggiator on that, and other times I'll just use it kind of like a little plinky sort of melody up top. Hopefully this opens up soon. I had one more sound to show you. So, good job, Ableton. Way to open it back up. So if I was to... Is my keyboard going to work here? You can imagine if you brought that down an octave. I could maybe show you real quick. So you can hear the growl sound, but it's just a really slow arpeggiator built into that. Some low mids, some mid highs or highs, whatever you want to call them. And then some classic automation and stuff. The very ending, I automated 2 filters on my master bus. Sounds like. You can hear those low ends sweep back in, and kind of a nice transition into whatever the next song might be. Some issues that I found with this song is when I was mastering it, I always compare my stuff mostly with Savant right now, also Noisia and Zomboy and Madian sometimes as well too. Mostly Madian for drums, Zomboy for loudness and growls, and Noisia for that dirty, distorted sort of tone that I like. I didn't have enough around like 6, 7, and 800 hertz, and I feel like I'm realizing more and more that with club music, I need to try to center things up there a little bit more instead of like the 3, 4, 500 hertz, especially not 300. There's a whole lot of mud going on around there. But I think 6 to 800 hertz is kind of like my focus area in terms of EQ for the next little bit. I'm going to try to get my mixes to sit a little bit higher up so that way the sub has everything all cleared out and it's just focused on what it needs to be focusing on, whether that be sub, bass, kick, both, or impacts, whatever. So that's it for today. That is the track Hundo. Thanks for getting through this, even though there was a crash. We got back into it, which is always great. Don't know what I'm going to do for next week. I said I was going to do a piano improv this week. This song just kind of got made throughout the week, so I figured why not make it my song a week. Next week I may do a piano improv. I don't know. I never know where these things are going. The point is just to keep producing, I guess, and composing. It will be nice to get through the 52 weeks. What I'm going to do is start to really, really focus on super productive technical videos and really just take my time on writing music and put out some really, really good stuff. But I'm still in the quantity/quality phase, and then later it'll just all be quality, and hoping to have more detailed projects then. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. I will see you next week. Song of Week number 38's coming up. Stay posted. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Peace.